Living and breathing La Vida Boa. Welcome to the Boa Life podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Demora, alongside host Nick Colhay. We're here to have conversations that'll change your life.
What's up, everybody? I'm your co-host, Nick Colhay. This is the Boa Life podcast, episode number 12. You ready to do this, Steve?
Let's go. It has been a while since we've had a recording session, and it's extra stressful today because we're here with two fellow podcasters. First off, I'd like to say this is a long time coming, and I want to take this moment to personally thank you on behalf of Nick and I for being able to enjoy the studio. People that don't know, the viewers, we are here in a studio that has been given to us, access to us, and for our use and enjoyment by these two gentlemen. So I first and foremost would like to thank you for allowing me to live my dream, my good life, my Boa life, and having this podcast, and certainly allow Nick to thank you as well. But thank you guys very much for the opportunity.
No problem. You're very welcome. We're glad that you. We're glad that it's you. We do a lot of work together, and we're glad to be able to be at a place where we can have a studio that we can use ourselves. But then our idea for our office was always that, it's an office where not only do we benefit from it, but we can extend that to other partners and people in the community that can, it's a space, right? And it's not being used all the time. So we always wanted to be able to, it was a blessing to us. And then we wanted to be able to extend that. So we're super excited, one, to be here. And of course, you chime in on this as well. But on, being able to have you here every week and recording this episode. It's really nice.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. I don't think Steve's dream could have came to fruition so quickly if this wasn't possible. I think that was the kick in the butt to have the space available. So, yeah, really appreciate it.
Yeah, but it was going to come, right?
Our pleasure to have you guys here. You guys are killing it. I just watched the first episode that just came out, and you guys are pros at this already. So our pleasure to have you guys here, and thank you for having us to participate on this episode. This is going to be great.
Thank you. It's nice to have you guys here, and it's a completely different atmosphere than we're used to because we're typically working together in other forms and fashions. And again, thank you for giving me the opportunity to do this, but also I believe my first podcast or my first experience doing this in this environment was with you.
Yeah.
Alex had called out sick that day, and I jumped in and put my cape on and came here and answered some questions.
Yeah, you were actually a plan B that day.
I'm always a plan B.
Really good plan. Really good plan.
Plan B that came look at you now. This is great, man. We're proud of you. And it's a blessing for us to be part of this as well. And I'm sure you're going to be able to impact a lot of lives out there with everything, with the content that you guys are producing here, trying to help others. This is genuine from your heart, you guys' heart. And
I don't have the same heart. Do we get royalties later?
We didn't sign any papers yet, did we?
Nothing yet. We're all kind of. I always say we're all in this together, and it's ironic because in this case, we all kind of are in this together. We're all kind of in the same space in our lives, right? We have young families. We're pushing to do well financially, trying to be healthy, trying to affect our communities positively, and I think this is a great venue to do that. That's why we're doing that. We're going forward, and we're pushing forward with this to really be an impact in our community and to grow that community.
Yeah, and it's nice that you say that because there's of course in the world that we live in right now, everything is about content, everything is about people putting stuff out there, but it's hard for you to draw a line on what's reality and what's being puffed up. So from what I've watched so far on your episodes. You guys are not afraid to go in and tell the good, the bad, and the ugly, which matters. Let's say I go to a website to buy stuff. I don't look at the good reviews. I want to see the bad reviews, and that's good. Let's talk about the bad. Let's encourage, because we keep watching, people on Instagram screens thinking everybody's a superhero, everybody's a celebrity, and nobody exposes like the hard knock life. Like what our day to day, we need to expose more of that so we can liberate other people from trying to be so excellent at what they do, and like we need to like be humans again. Like it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to go slower. It's okay, like we're in our like late 30s and early 40s for you.
I'm the old one on the show. Okay, that's fine.
But we could go back, and we could have started this 10 years ago. But it's okay to start now. There's no shame in starting now. There's no shame in starting when we're 50s. All that matters is like we get started and we take that first step, like you guys have taken, like we have taken. And there's beauty in that. Like there's beauty in failure. There's beauty in trying 5, 6, 7 different ways, not working out, and then you find the one that works out. But then come and tell the story of 6, 7 ways that haven't worked. And by watching your episodes, I can notice that. Like you guys are not afraid to reveal that, which is great.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And it's just the hosts themselves show different strengths, and we're genuine. I'm open to my struggles and fitness, and I have a co-host that is a fitness fanatic, and it comes easy to him. So we're here opening ourselves up, showing what we can be good at, what we need improvement on, and then through our guests, same thing. I mean, we have the opportunity here to have many different faces and voices and difference of opinions, and I think there's nothing better than that. For the viewer to get perspective, right? Because everybody's success is different. What they think is success is different, and learning from failures and how to improve oneself in different facets. I think sometimes the hardest thing with this is trying to put topics on for discussion, because I like it to be more organic and kind of go with the flow, go where it needs to go. And this conversation I knew was going to be kind of like that. It's like we're going to start talking, and it's going to breathe into life topics that I think are going to be important.
Recording? Is
Yeah.
it we're live?
No, we're waiting. We typically like to do this and then do another 2 or 3 takes before we go, and then Nick will walk me through some calisthenics, and then we'll go on live.
Pump them up a little bit.
Yeah. We want to make sure that we're ready to go. The beauty of the camera is that they can see us, they can hear us, and then they can really take it all in. I think that's the coolest part about it is us out here exposing ourselves and being vulnerable, and people being able to see that. Mm-hmm. And like you said, when you have good intentions and you're working to do good things, it makes an impact.
Yeah.
And in this venue, it's so easy to tell whether someone's genuine. And if you're here to help and you bring on guests that can share their stories, what's better than that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes, just like piggybacking on what you were saying there about organic, like this, like in my personal experience, sometimes, this is the situation where the most powerful conversations come up. Like I actually interviewed a friend of mine that he went to Army, I believe. Bruno, remember?
Yeah, he was
Bruno?
in Iraq a couple of times.
Yeah, he was in Iraq a couple of times. He went out there, I think twice, and when he came back, really messed up in the head. You know what I mean? Like after everything that he saw there, he was, you could tell that it was not like the old Bruno that I went to high school with, that I knew for like 20 years, and but then, on the episodes that I was doing before I interviewed him, I was kind of like doing real estate stuff because, for those of you who don't know, I'm a realtor, and I wanted to interview someone that had like a life story to tell. You know what I mean? And because he was a friend of mine and I knew him for a long time, so I was kind of like thinking about the night before. I was like, what question should I ask him? Like, because he had an interesting story. Like when he came back, he was like soul searching, and CrossFit is what like changed his life. Like he found a peace again through exercising. CrossFit was what he got into. He actually became a coach, and so we're going back and forth. And I'm like, I started the podcast like, what? I was thinking about everything that I was going to ask you and trying to put something together, but I just want to talk to you. You know what I mean? Like, let's just have a good conversation. And that was just like such a killer podcast. It was like the most watched episode that I've ever had, and it was just organic the whole entire time. So I love those, you know, like where you don't have a script, you don't have what you're gonna ask, and this, because sometimes you get caught up on those things. You're not really paying attention what the person is saying. You just want to ask the next question. But you know, I'm glad that ours is gonna be like that. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree with you on that. It's like you're like in a class instead, you know, listening to someone lecture. It's like, or just answering questions. And
even for everything we do on a day-to-day basis, everything has to be timed. Everything, you know, time is of the essence for everything, and everything has a certain schedule to do. So being able not to follow a schedule is good for a change.
To do what we want.
I think it's important to set a little bit of structure, but at the same time, be free with it.
Yeah.
You know, let it flow naturally and organically, like you were saying. So, yeah, both ways is good.
Yeah, I mean, just knowing that, you know, we'll come here, but we won't spend any more than 2 hours. And that's our structure.
That's all you need.
Yeah, our wives will get very upset with us for sure.
That's it.
No, it's funny. We've seen each other grow, you know, family and friends, coworkers, and we're related in so many different aspects and have so many connections with other people. And it's funny to look at your journey. And it's like we've kind of been on the same trajectory. You know, I went on my own. You guys have slowly grown into this place where you're at now, which I'm sure you guys are very proud and happy to be where you are. I mean, I'm impressed by the journey you've come to at this point and where you're going. You know, I know you're projecting out far, and we're constantly trying to grow and be better people. So it's always nice to see people that you admire, that you work with, that you see day to day to kind of be on these same journeys together. I also think it's important to have people of like mind. You know, we always have really great conversations. I'm like, if I could take the conversations that we have individually and then and show it to the world, I can imagine, you know, I know what I get out of it,
Yeah.
you know, so how can other people not get out of it? But to touch base on what you said about your friend, it's amazing to me how fitness can play such a strong role in an individual, especially, you know, people like us at our age, dealing with kind of stress we deal with. It saved me. I mean, it still has a lot of work to do because I'm not nowhere near where I want to be, and that's mostly my fault, right? But I mean, what do you guys get out of fitness? Does it do anything? I mean, is it as powerful as I'm saying it is, or no?
Oh, it certainly is. For me, there's all the chemical reactions in your body that comes from fitness, all the hormones that will produce the happiness and the well-being that if you only look at fitness as I just got to go to the gym and work out just because I want to be strong and come back home, you don't really get to participate in that. But as soon as you start analyzing, okay, you know, it's working out is important, fitness is important because it's going to, you know, give me longevity, it's going to give me a longer life, but it also plays a part in everyday life. Like, for instance, you know, I had a long race on Saturday, and then on Monday I was shot. Tuesday morning, which was today, I could not get up to go to the gym. My day does not flow the same. You know, even my happiness level is not the same. You know, so I am active for many different reasons, but I'm super active because of all the unseen on the surface, but all that's being done inside of my body, all the good hormones that it's producing and all that. So for when I fall off track and then I'm not working out for whatever reasons, like, you know, COVID happened and all that, I notice a difference, and people notice the difference. You know, not only on looks, but, you know, I don't have the same energy anymore. You know, so I choose to go in the morning. That's the best time for me to go to the gym. That's a time that I can be consistent, because being in real estate, sometimes you get home at 5, sometimes you get home at 9. You know, so it's hard. But going in the morning for me allows me to have that set schedule of 5-6 days a week, and that controls my day. That determines how my day is going to go. So, and usually, you know, you give your all, like you go in the morning as well, right? So you go in there and you give your all, and almost every single day, that was the hardest part of your day. And you conquered that day by design, not by default. It wasn't like the hardest part of your day were the stresses of your day. You decided that the hardest part of your day is going to be that workout that you did, and you're going to give your all, and everything else from that is an easy day, which is similar to some of these races that I run. While I'm up and down a mountain for 6, 7, 8 hours, I hate it. I hate it. Like I question myself all the time. I pay money to be here. There's no reason why I should be here right now. I should be doing something else. Why am I here? And I'm sure, there's this past weekend, for instance, there's about a couple thousand people in it, and I keep you start going up and down the mountain, you start creating conversations with people, and I'm asking them all like, did you pay to be here? Yeah, and then, it's a joke at that time, but we all paid to be there, and we all hate it at that time. But as soon as we get out of the mountain and we get home, and Monday or Tuesday comes around, we already want to sign up for next year. So it's good to conquer myself in those races, up and down those mountains, because then I know that this week, for instance, there's nothing really bad that you can bring me that's going to be worse than how I was feeling up and down, for 14, 50 miles, a mountain. So I use it as inspiration as to what I can conquer in the morning before I even start my day, and it works out for me super well that way.
I mean, you hit on so many good points that I think about all the time. I mean, you put yourself in situations where you're just suffering and it hurts and you hate it. You don't want to be there. But in the back of your mind, there's something always there that's, saying, I'll love how I feel tomorrow when I wake up or when I finish this. And there's nothing like that feeling. I love to put myself in situations, physically beat myself down, just as you're explaining. And there's nothing better. Same for me. Early riser, get it done. Sometimes again in the afternoon or at night, depending on the schedule. And it's like an addiction.
Yeah, I feel the same way. And I feel like this is like in all areas of life. There's no growth without pain, right? You look what you had to go through to be where you are now, and in your career. And it's the same thing like with like working out. Like I don't want to work out every day. My body's like, no, stay a little bit more in bed. Like, but it's like fighting the flesh. It really is, and kind of have to like work. Know how the brain works so you can work the brain. So I'm not one to do well working out by myself. Like I have to have somebody with me. I think, to be honest, like I think this whole Orange Theory, CrossFit, these guys are genius because if you're doing something with a group of people, you tend to do better. You know what I mean? Like a team always works better together. Even if there's one person, like a golfer or something, like there's a whole team behind them. You know what I mean? So if I go to the gym by myself, I'm most likely I'm gonna slack. So I put that guardrail, and I have somebody to go with me. So there's accountability. You know what I mean? It's just like my friend there, for example. I was actually listening to this documentary of was this physician talking about how exercise helps so much with depression. If you just get up and you exercise, and why aren't people saying that a lot more than they should? Because there's no money in it. There's no money in it. There's medication.
Right.
A lot of people they're prescribing medications. You should take this. Just get up and work out. You know what I mean? Like go get your levels up. Do something. Walk a mile today, and maybe 2 miles next week. Whatever the case may be. But unfortunately, it just that start, that first couple of times, it's really because sometimes you are your best salesman. You sell on the idea where hey, why are you gonna go there? Just stay here. You know what I mean? It's you against yourself.
Talking yourself out of things.
You're talking yourself out of things. So if you can get into that habit, I don't want to go to the gym, but that feeling that you have after you go to the gym, that's like, whoa. This is nice.
The accomplishment.
So think about that. You know what I mean? So know how the brain works so you can work the brain. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's my take on that.
No, that's invaluable, and that's why this kind of thing is so great. It's like some of it's born through experience. You know, I know myself. I think you and I have discussed this before. I've certainly have with you. The old gym, you go to the gym. I find myself just BSing with people. Before I know it, I was at the gym for 45 minutes and I had great conversations, but I didn't do any working out. So for me, as you know, a former athlete, I like being competitive. And
I've heard.
Yes, I'm like a different human being.
Rumors out there.
I'm a different, because you can't tell now. But you get into a group atmosphere, and then it just makes it a little easier. So in educating yourself, having these conversations, or learning through experience, you find ways to do things better, more efficiently, stay committed. To me, one of the hardest things to do is stay committed to something. It's like the fad diet or this and that. Like I'll lose weight, yo back, because it's got to be a lifetime of doing something. And fitness is the same thing. Like we all know it's healthy, we should do it, and why don't we do it? Because it's freaking hard, right? It's hard, but like you said, I have to do my workout in the morning because life happens. If it's not my wife, my kids, my job, my this, my that, my excuses, it's like set your alarm, wake up, get that win right away. Like get that one thing done. I try to do as much as I can in the morning to win. Like one of my jobs at home is to throw the garbage out. So every morning I go, and if it's the garbage is full, I like grab the garbage, I bring it downstairs, I put it in my car. I'm like, I won. I did something good. Like I was supposed to do this and I did it.
Yeah.
There's days that you go by and you don't do that. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I just wanted to, before it goes away, I was listening to this guy, and he's like, I thought this was extremely interesting. He said that, like, as soon as you wake up in the morning, like, the decisions that you make, like, you embody this personalities. Like, if you make your bed right there and then, just like you are someone that's neat with your things. If you go to the gym and now, like, you embody personality, like someone that's fit. If you do if you make like healthy food, or you know what I mean, like. Now you embody that personality that, like,
tell the truth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's just the whole thing is just like like they said, it's easier said than done, right? Like but like I feel like if little by little, because sometimes like I've done it myself. I'm like, I'm gonna eat this 3,000 calories today because I'm gonna start on the diet tomorrow.
Oh.
So, like, what is
I haven't started.
you know what I mean?
Like, why did you like, Minnie started?
They
had like 1,500.
I'm like, I'm gonna have a good day today, and then sometimes like even overeat throughout the day just because I know I'm gonna start a diet. I'm already cheating right there. So it's all about mindset. It all comes down to mindset.
I think you're referring to the age-old metaphor: actions speak louder than words. So, people can say a lot of stuff, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to get healthy, whatever it may be. But if they're not doing it, if they're not showing everyone else that they're committed to doing it, then you know what? That's all you need to see. You don't need to hear them talk anymore.
Yeah.
They're going to show you with their actions.
Yeah, it's reading 10 books on how to do push-ups, right?
Yeah.
You can read all you want.
Exactly.
If you don't do a single push-up, it's not going to make a difference.
It's interesting you say that, because I love to read. I love to just flood my mind with information. And I could read 100 self-help books, and I find myself just reading more and more and more. And then I'm looking back every once in a while, like, did I put any of that into action?
Yeah.
Did I actually take that advice, internalize it, and act on it? And that's the toughest part.
Yeah. It's funny that you say that, because I've been reflecting on this lately. We're around people all the time, right? Whether at home, friends, family, clients. Sometimes we go through stressful situations with our clients, and we wish they did something differently. We wish they did something the way it's supposed to be done, and they don't. And then, same thing with friends and family. But I keep thinking to myself, it's so hard for me to, let's say, get up in the morning, 4:30, 4:40 in the morning, to go to the gym at 5, and to do it consistently for a year. Or it's so hard for me to have the self-discipline to do many other things. Like, how can I expect that I can change somebody else if it's that hard to change myself? And I just I internalize that, and just so I can have a little more patience with other people around me, just because every time I think of, whatever stressful situation that I have in front of me, that I keep thinking I have to find ways to change that person. I set up, little red flags that should go up for me to look inside and see how hard it is to change even myself, and how can I expect to, be out there changing people. And and then I went a step further, and I thought, maybe how you change people, and of course we're shifting subjects a little bit, but maybe how you change people is by changing yourself and showing them how you change yourself, so they can see it and be inspired by it, and then they could change.
Exactly.
But it's indirectly. It's not directly, it's
Right.
indirectly.
Show them the way. I think that's big. And then humbling yourself. It's like sometimes as I get successful in certain areas, I get, too big for my britches. Like, humble yourself, relax. There's a lot of improvement to be made still. And I think Nick brings up a good point on many shows, and it's one of the things he stands by is consistency. So it's like I struggle with that in all aspects of life. So it's like I get into like meditating and doing breathing exercises, and I do it great for like a month, and then I'm like, I don't do it. And then I convince myself that I don't need to do it. And then you realize, no, some of these routines are good. Like, stay consistent with them. It's like they're true and tried. Like, keep going back to the basics, right? It's like, sleep well, try to eat healthy, exercise, be kind, be honest. It's like these are baselines that we need to keep consistent with. And I think as we have these conversations, we kind of can take routines from people and learn tricks. It's all about that, right? And in life, we've experienced things, and we've learned. I learned mostly from my failures, not my successes. And when we have conversation with other people, we can learn from them. So, I mean, all these things are so useful. And I feel like people don't, people aren't like you and Nick. And I know we're out there learning and trying to like absorb everything we can. But some people don't have that ability. And any way that we can throw that in the universe, I think, is important. And, what more than listening to people that are like striving to be successful, striving to be better, and we're like right in the thick of it. That's what kind of one of the reasons why we did this. It's like we're right in the middle there. Like, we're not, and a lot of people you hear on the radio are already successful. Like, they've already forgot everything they did. Yeah. Like, give me a break. Like, you don't remember what you did. You're there. You're at the pinnacle now. It's like we're like going there. I don't know how far. I probably think I'm further along than I really am, but like, we are in the thick of it. We're learning, we're experiencing it, and hopefully in the future our success will just prove like, hey, we have something to say. You should probably listen to us because look what it's done for us. Or look where we are so far. And then, the missteps we make, like, here's what we did wrong.
Yeah.
And, be honest about it. So I love having these conversations, especially with people that I find to be peers and equals. I think in our podcast, we're going to try to talk to as many different people as we can. But I mean, in the end, we're selfish. Like, we're trying to be better, and we're trying to learn as well as teach and entertain and all that stuff. So a lot of the guests we have are kind of similar to us. And it's just funny. I'm hearing you guys talk, and I'm like, it's just not really a mirror of me, but it's like kind of the same kind of ideas and like things that I think about to be better. And I know Nick does
10
too.
years ago, because we're about 10
I mean, like, don't. I mean, come on. Listen. You're not that young anymore, Alex. I would say the only guy here without white in his beard, I think, is over there. But we don't really know because it's real tight.
It blends in.
You let it grow out. I don't know what we find in there.
Let's turn all the lights on.
Oh man.
But I have a question for you, Nick. Were you always into working out? And I know you're pretty consistent with it. Just because for someone who is not, I feel like that there's like steps. For example, you really force yourself into going every day, and then, it's discipline first place. So you can create a habit out of it, and then once a habit is made. Even if you fall off, you're gonna fall into a habit. But if you fall off to like when you miss that step and you're falling off to discipline, like you just it's kind of like
it's second nature.
It's
almost.
second nature.
Yeah.
Habit is second nature. Like, let's just say, even days that you don't feel like going to the gym, out of nowhere you're there already. Like, oh yeah.
Yeah,
So,
it's I mean, I can say today where I am today after all these years, it's like I am in that habit. I fall into it naturally. As natural as it is for us to like brush our teeth and do stuff without even thinking about it. Getting into it years ago, look, I grew up just skinny kid who wanted muscles. That's really where it started. And
you're the guy that we hate.
Yeah. I got cut from basketball, baseball. They're like, oh, go run some track. Yeah. You're fast, you're skinny, you're light. So it started there. And then before you knew it, I was going to the gym, like still wanting to get bigger muscles. And I was like, I don't like paying for this. So I approached the owner, just let me work the desk. Give me a free membership. And literally it snowballed from there. I fell in love with the environment. I fell in love with the people. The attitude of when you go to the gym is so much different than, like, let's say you meet someone at the grocery store or people you work with. It's just so much more positive. Everyone is in that place doing something good for themselves, or they're at least trying to. Yeah. So I fell in love with that, and I just wanted to help people. So I became a trainer. I started teaching a lot of, like, my thing was group fitness. So what you were referring to with group exercise and being motivated around tons of people, and that's when they get the best out of it. That was me, and I loved being on the microphone and just screaming at them, but at the same time smiling. Like very much, like I really wanted to help them, like genuinely, but at the same time have a good time with them.
If you train him, is he the type of guy that would hate you, screaming at him all the time, or?
Yes and no. I feel like Steve doesn't have a bad bone in his body, so he can never really hate you.
Soccer players that played with him would say otherwise.
Well, I told this story, I think, an episode or two ago, because I played against him in softball. But that's like, compared to what you were like in soccer, I'm sure it's completely different. Yeah. But I think Steve might have taken a class or two that I taught, but it was a dark room on a spin bike, so he had nowhere to go. Yeah. He wasn't running around.
I will say that my personality can be similar to my father. So my father is one of the most admirable people I know. I mean, I think my father is near perfect, just a good man. And I'm proud to be his son. And the only time that I would ever be embarrassed of my father is in soccer. So my father was a fanatic. Like, to this day, his team in Portugal, if they lose, like, you don't want to talk to him. He's in a bad mood, which to me is crazy, but it's his team.
I know a couple of guys.
Yeah, and I'm sure Brazilian, Spanish, but I mean, all these different cultures probably have their sports. They feel the same way. But when I was growing up, my dad was really into me. I feel like he would rather have me have been a professional soccer player than a lawyer, right? So when we were at games, sometimes if something didn't go well, he would, like, with respect, because my dad wasn't disrespectful, but would, like, tell the referee he didn't know what he was doing, to the point where, like, sometimes they're like, this guy's got to leave or we're not going to keep playing. So he's, like, just so passionate, and I think that transcended into me, where as an athlete, I just was so passionate that I was literally a different person. And then off the field, I would be friends. And even them, they would be like, this guy just wanted to fight me, and now he wants to, like, be my... Because it's just like, it was almost like going to war. As silly as that sounds, like, that's how much I wanted to win and how much I loved the sport. So it's interesting how we can transform, because I'm not that at all. Even at my worst, I'm not that at all. But people are just different.
Field.
Yeah, people are just... and there's certain settings, right, that were completely different. It's like when I drink, not that I'm, a big drinker, but when I drink, I'm a happy drinker. I've never been mad drinking. I don't even understand how people can get mad when they drink. But
but the alcohol does that, right? It just reveals.
Well, I don't know. I don't know anything about, the effects of what it does. But so it's just funny that, with sports, sometimes it can really bring out, different personality in you. But
I think I had that mindset going into getting real serious about it too. Just referring back to what you're talking about, being competitive in sports. Like, I was competitive with myself. I was competitive with myself and other people to see if I could, just do more than them. But at the same time, help them get to the level that I was at internally, what I was feeling like, how good I felt and how awesome it was, to, like, look good, feel good, and then helping others. Like, there's nothing like it. So I had that competitive nature without being on a team.
Yeah, and it's good. It's nice that you said that, because I think even in group sports, your main competition should still be yourself, and then that's going to overflow into being able to be a better competitor to other. I remember, watching the many Kobe Bryant stories on how people would show up to the gym, and Kobe's already icing his knees.
Yep.
Getting out of the gym when people show up, and that's because Kobe's already competing with himself, for a couple of hours before people show up there. And I think in even in sports, in group sports, you still need that type of competition where, because if you're not competing against yourself in the gym, then it's hard for you to do better when you're competing with, against other people.
You just got to find, what makes you tick. Dan, you mentioned group exercise and stuff, and that's great for a lot of people. Some people kill it alone, and they don't want anyone next to them.
Yeah.
They want to be in their basement, just doing their own thing, and they absolutely kill it. So I think it's important for people to know, you got to, if you're just starting, or if you don't really know what your path is, like, try everything, and then find something that you're comfortable with and stick with that.
Yeah.
Because I've seen plenty of people. I've seen plenty of people come into a group exercise setting, and I can tell by the look on their face within 5 seconds, like, this person doesn't belong here. They deserve the best kind of workout, and they need to, like, motivate themselves to get better and do whatever. But you can just tell some people aren't just cut out for it. And once they realize that, then they'll get on the right track.
Yeah.
There's a self-acceptance, right? Self-awareness, like this is for me or this is not. And then oftentimes in my life, I've been in wrong places for the wrong reasons, not because of, like I'm going to go to this gym at 6 o'clock in the afternoon because all my friends are there. And like you said, 45 minutes into it, not a single, set was completed, and then one of the reasons why I prefer to go in the morning, the gym is empty, and I'm like, all right, I have an hour here because I got to go home and, get ready for work and hang out with the baby and all. And that's my time. It's a little bit of time management now, like life, as we get older, it gets more complicated, and you have to really look at every aspect of it and manage your time better. And I'm like, all right, I got an hour here. That's all I got. And if I go late, I still only have until 6 o'clock, because at that time then I have to leave. But which now makes me more productive. Like, I try to maximize that time.
Yeah, you're really hitting a lot of good points on, as an adult with children, as we all do. What are your priorities? If you need to work, see your family and work out all in the same day, well, the workout is probably going to be last on the list.
Yeah.
So when you prioritize it, get it done early when everyone's sleeping, that's great. And that's what I try to do too. Same thing.
But I like something that you mentioned, and I'll be done. And then you touched on this as well. I think we have to attach greater meaning to, I'm sure you work out for more reasons than just building muscle or staying fit. You work out for the internal aspects of it, for what it does for your health, and you work out for your family because you want to be here, for as long as you can for them. And that's what I've been trying to attach. So COVID happened and I kind of dropped out. And I'm like, why did I? I'm a runner. Doesn't matter. I don't have to go. I actually hate running at the gym. Like, I run outside, and I didn't. And if I blame it on everything else. And I'm like, I'm looking back now, I'm like, I'm so behind on everything because I lost so much time. But I'm trying to attach bigger meanings to what I'm doing. So I'm going to stay consistent now because really, I'm 37. I have a 2-year-old. By the time I'm 50, he's going to be 15. I have to be active. Do I want to play ball with my kid? I have to be active. I'm going to be 50 when he's 15. I have to be active. And I'm internalizing this. I wake up in the morning, I'm like, I have to go to the gym for me, but more important for my family. And I firmly believe in that going to the gym will extend my days on this earth. And I'm like, all right, now that will help me not fall off again. So even if COVID hits again or something else hits again, I'm going to find different ways to stay in shape.
I was doing complicated math there. I'm like on the same trajectory as you are, off maybe a year. Yeah, it's like the Boa Life. What is it? We talk about the good life. It's different for everyone. We always, that's the theme of the show, right? We're all in search of it, trying to live it, trying to get through tragedy, trying to, have successes to have that. at the end of the day, what is it? To me, it's a life of balance, right? I don't think you can have a good life without balance. And I feel like when I'm at my lowest is when I feel like I'm off kilter, right? Something's not, right. When work is, I've been very fortunate as you guys have been to be in a time frame, in a strange time where my business is booming, right? And sometimes I'm questioning, am I just working too much? Is it all worth it? Do I even have a choice? What's missing in my life? And, the missed opportunities, young kids like you have, every second missed with them is not a second I'm getting back. So life is full of sacrifices, and I want to have a good future for myself and for my family and for my kids. So sacrifices need to be made, but I think we always have to reflect and assess where we are, and are we using our time the best we can, and using different strategies and educating ourselves and listening to podcasts and reading books so that we can, use all those tools to make the best decisions we can. We only have one life, and, we want to do the best we can. I don't want to have regrets. I mean, at the end of the day, I want to make sure that, I did everything I was supposed to do to the best of my ability. So I don't think there's anything better than having conversations. We talk about fitness. I know, Dan, you touched upon fitness and how it helps so many people. And I believe it's a huge point of being mentally healthy, physically healthy. I think they're hand in hand, like exercising, be healthy so that you can have, spiritual, mental health. But just as important, I think, is, if people are religious, family oriented, but especially having conversations with people and being and communicating, especially for guys. That's why I really like this, because it's like in speaking with women and having the experience I have, it's like they have a whole, everybody has a whole list of problems, right? I feel like a lot of times men don't really communicate. They don't communicate. We communicate, but not in a certain way. And I'm not saying we should, but I think we should be more open to discussing, like, issues that we're having. Where it's like, oh, you're being a man, you can't say like, oh, I'm working too hard or I'm failing. It's like just be honest. You don't have to, you don't have to open up to the world about every problem you have. Like, leave some of that stuff, packed away. But it's like sometimes I think it's good to talk about things so that at the very least other people can be like, all right, so he's going through that.
Relate.
Yeah, it's like, all right, it's not just me. It's like, I think that's important. It's like, at least to do that for other people. It's like, that's why I talk about struggling with my weight. I mean, it's obvious because I'm overweight, but I don't have to say it, but I say it because it's reality. Like, I struggle with my weight, and I'm trying to overcome it. And there's people out there that do it too. And it's like, and certainly there's a lot of other areas that I'll open up about and where I struggle, and hopefully people will just be able to say, all right, someone else is going through that, and then giving them the tools to maybe deal with that.
I love that you say that, because see, my wife is a therapist, right? And I've been in this journey with her, better understanding that side of life, because
Can I just open up real quick while you're talking? She was kind of the one that opened us up to that, which is like great point, which I want to keep reiterating, but not to like co-opt her idea, but it's funny you're saying that, because that's kind of where it's ringing true now that you mentioned it. I'm like, that's right.
So 10 years ago, or 15 years ago, if you told me you're going through depression or anxiety, I would say snap out of it. Of course, most times I wouldn't actually say that, because I would try to relate to how you're feeling a little bit more. But in my mind, I would be snap out of it. Like, go put on some, shoes and put on some shorts and a shirt and go out and run.
Suck it up.
Exactly.
Right.
But being married to her and better understanding what she does made me also reflect on men in general. And then I came up with a conclusion. Every man should go see a therapist by the time they turn 25, because we all have suffered, we all went through something, but it never comes up to the surface. We never share it. We all internalize it, and men are good at that. I can internalize stuff, and And I go to actually an extent, I have a really bad memory that I even forgot that, that happened to begin with. But your subconscious doesn't, and it just, it'll play it out for you in your mind, and then it comes out in your actions towards people.
Sometimes at the worst time.
Exactly. And you just don't know why you do the things that you do. It's because you never address some of the stuff that you went through as a child. So I've come up with this, and I freely talk to men about this all the time. Look, I don't care how old you are. You're 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50 for that matter, 60, doesn't matter. We need to go see a therapist. And sometimes, and let's even here in this setting, for instance, we'll share half of what we've been through, but we won't share the other half.
You might not even share with a therapist.
Exactly. Yeah. But we should, and of course, they'll protect your information, right? Just like an attorney should, just like agents, will do. But we should all get to that point, because we'll never discuss it with our wives, spouses. We'll never discuss it with, maybe our close friends who've been through some of the stuff with us. We are open to discussing with them, but if they haven't been through some of the stuff with us, most men won't. And then we're now in our 30s or 40s or 50s showing sometimes abusive behavior for something that we may have gone through in the past that we never chose to address. And then who suffers? Families, kids, wives, kids, grandkids, you name it. So it's going back to your point, I agree. Men don't talk enough, and I encourage myself all the time, and I encourage all my friends as much as possible. Like these meetings here, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people in the privacy of whatever setting we are. We should be having these conversations weekly. I share a little bit. I see you share a little bit. Now I'm confident. Okay. This is private enough. You chose to share some stuff that maybe some other people don't know about. And then I go the extra step and share a little bit more. I get to know your struggles. And then your struggles liberate me to say, I effed up, but I'm human, and it's okay. And then it doesn't come out 5, 10 years from now anymore, which is what we should, if we're all walking towards light and to be as pure as possible in our old age, then I think we should all, in whatever setting you want to put that, whatever religion you want to put that, I think we should all be striving to resolve our issues from the past as early as possible so they don't become issues of the future.
So it's so ironic you're talking about that right now, because just being introduced to you guys not just a short time ago and knowing what you guys do, in a weird way, you guys are therapists as well. And the only reason why it really struck home to me, because I'm think about it. You guys sit down with either, men, women separately, or couples together, or whole families. And you're walking them through and trying to help them through one of the biggest decisions of their lives, purchasing a house or selling a house, whatever the transaction may be. It literally is one of the biggest decisions people make in their lives. And you sit with them for, I'm sure extended periods of time. So, yeah, it's just really interesting that you say it like that, because in a weird way, you're describing what you go through every day and how you help people realize, what they need to do. You guys need to talk. You need to get your emotions out. It's an emotional thing, buying and selling a house. I'm sure you guys. Yeah. I'm sure you guys know that. So what kind of tricks do you have up your sleeve to help people? Because that sure is it's a stressful situation. I've gone through it myself. So
yeah, it really is. And Alex and I talk about this all the time. It's adaptability really takes a big role in this, because we encounter all kinds of families. We go into hundreds of homes, and so do you, right? You spend less time with these people than we do, but you can have a feel for what they are and everything like that. It's so emotional. It's an extremely emotional decision, because a house is a place where you've built memories, or you're going to build memories. So with that being said, since I've always worked with the public, I was in sales before. I sold cars for a living. I work in a restaurant as a waiter. And if you could do those two things, you could do anything in life. I've always had interest in studying human behavior, just so I could understand people better, so I can, because sometimes like you get upset or you will blow out of proportion just because you don't know where that person's coming from, or what they've done or what they went through. Just Alex was saying, like, you don't know like the past of that person. My wife is also into she's a social worker, not to extent as like Alex's wife is, but that's what they learn is you know, coming up in school, like human behavior, how to like find the why. Why is that person acting like that? Like what's here? Like some and it comes so like second nature to us sometimes. In you know, some of these occasions where, you know, we get the couple that's fighting all the time, and we get the seller that wants $100,000 more from the house just because it's lived there for 20 years, and the tile that he put in the bathroom, he spent a fortune 20 years ago, and it's
Tango yellow
Yeah.
or blue.
He's like, you know how much I spent for these? And so now you, like, the way that we think about it, and I think this should be in every area, not only in, you know, in a transaction. That's why we always push for the whole experience be a relationship and not transactional, because we want to feel for that person. We want to be happy with them, and we want to be sad in case that rate went up or whatever the case may be. So you know, by like being like so much around, and like we can tell already, you know, like this is the approach here will be this, like talking to an older lady. Now we're gonna talk about some stuff that it will matter to her. Talking to a guy like Steve or something, like I'm gonna bring him numbers, you know, like this is so adaptability really comes into it, and there's times where we can't work with that person.
Yeah.
Not every client's gonna be my client. Not every client's gonna be his client. And for the best, for the better, for maybe to have even a relationship outside of that, we you know, one of the things that I like about this industry is I give my all to every client. But if it comes to a point that I see that it's, you know, it's not gonna go anywhere because of stubbornness, and you know, you know, we're the professionals here, and we try our best to communicate in a way that they're gonna understand. But we've had to let people go before, right? We had, you know, like unfortunately we can't work together, and
that is okay.
and
right?
that is okay.
Yeah.
We can't
Let's
control.
normalize that.
Yeah, we can't control the outcome.
Yeah.
We can't control the outcome. We can control what we're gonna do about it, how we're gonna act.
Well, it's
you know?
admirable because you know you're stepping up and almost, I don't want to say being the bigger person, but you're the professional. You're realizing what could happen and what's gonna pretty much happen, so you step away.
Yeah.
That's important in a lot of, you know, facets of life.
I'm sorry.
In something that you said, it makes a lot of sense. Sometimes, let's say, if you and I are having a conversation, and for whatever reason it goes south, and you yell at me, I should be able to identify that it has nothing to do with me. That's what you have going on inside of you. How I respond to that has everything to do with me,
Right.
to your point. But I can choose at that point to understand that I'm in a better mental state than you are, because a good mental state will not, you know, a person in a good mental state will not yell at anybody else. Will have decent conversations, you know,
Right.
same tone, and yelling is just one of the ways. You know, it could get violent, it could go physical, whatever the case may be. But in what we do, you know, selling real estate, we have to understand that every client, just like every house, it's its own thing. You know, every client has their own personality, and then you have, you know, let's say a couple as a buyer, and you have their family involved. So now you have, you know, 2, 3, 4, 5 different personalities, and you have to be able to identify all those personalities where they are. Sometimes, you know, kids are not in the same page as the parents. You know, sometimes the parents are already having a hard time enough with their kids and what their kids are going through, and they're doing their best to buy a home for their kids, but they haven't even mastered a good relationship with their kids. And then we have to step in and talk at the same level as the parents, but also quickly adapt and be able to familiarize ourselves with the kids, where we can have everybody on the same page. It's almost like a classroom, right? We're going to sit you everybody, let's be on the same page so we can talk about this home that you're buying. So it's a challenging process. I think what helps us is we care for that. We analyze every client. Because we think we're different as humans, but when you take a whole bunch of people, we're very much alike. So we can analyze behaviors, and maybe there's like 4, 5, 6 different types of behaviors out there in all the buyers that we can have, and we can quickly say, okay, this guy is self-employed, works a lot, not really organized with his finances, so we already know we're going to have to step in and try to help him in a couple of different areas. Maybe he's going to need to send some stuff to his accountant that he doesn't even know what that is, and then we can say, hey, this is how you do that. So some clients will come and they don't care for what we have to teach or show or coach. They would just say, I want to buy this. Or let's say sometimes we're talking about investments and they run the numbers and they say, all right, this is the one, let's just buy it, write the check, and move forward. So we also have to be able to identify that and say, he doesn't need additional feedback from me when it comes to that, unless you see something that maybe they didn't see coming, and then you point that out. But with the families that we deal with, we really have to, we often put ourselves in their shoes, because it's easy, as you're running all these transactions and as you're closing, especially now with this market the way it is, you close a lot of transactions. We work hard not to forget that, like you mentioned, this is most people's biggest purchase and biggest investment. You buy a house 30 years from now, if you didn't make a single payment extra, 30 years from now you pay it off and you don't have much else. So let's step in, let's work with them so their emotions could be at a good place. Because if we don't say, look, we're gonna put 2, 4, 5, 10 offers and we're not gonna get a house, if we don't give them the heads up, because it's so competitive right now, they may put 2 or 3 offers and get discouraged. So we have all these conversations, like our buyer presentations are about an hour long. We sit with the client, anybody off the street want to buy a house, come, we'll do a full buyer presentation, we'll tell you everything about real estate, and then we start from there. Or we feel like we have to prep everybody and adjust their emotions just so they can get ready for this process.
It's I was comparing that to my wife and I we bought like a little bit of a course that teach you how to the kids' brain work, so we can understand them better, and that really extremely helped us a lot. And I was like, I have to do the same thing with my clients sometimes.
Oh, you're referring to trying to learn about your own kids.
To be like, so I maybe there were times that I would get mad at something, but I understood at that point after taking that course what they were feeling and why they were doing that, how their brain work at that age, and I'm like, whoa, okay, that's what's going on there. So my reaction was different. That way, there were less tantrums. That it really helped my relationship to understand how their brain worked better. And they always have to be in the know. For example, you can just turn off the TV and be like, it's bad time. Mm-hmm. Hey, bad time in 5 minutes. They're in the know now. 5 minutes come, they were told that that was gonna happen. No tantrum there, just because they're in the know. Going home from the grandparents' home. Hey, we have 15 more minutes, then we're gonna go. Okay, they're in the know. Same thing with our clients.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, we may put offer in 2 houses, and you may get the house. We may have to look at 40 houses before you actually get the house. Now they're in the know, because if I don't tell them that, and now we put offer in 3 houses and we didn't get accepted, what the heck's going on?
Yeah. Setting expectations.
Yeah. They always have to be in the know, and I thought it was so funny, because it's the same thing with kids, and you take that and you put here. That's why, you're talking about reading books and watching podcasts and seeking for knowledge. That's I'm not trying to get religious, the Bible, whatever the case may be. But Apostle Paul wrote this when he didn't even know he was writing the Bible. He was just writing a letter, and he said, like, you know, don't be be always renewing your mind each and every day. That, like, and that's what's called renewing the mind. You know, reading a book, listening to a podcast. You're renewing. This is renewing the mind here.
Yeah.
That you may come out with something here today that you didn't know. I learned from you. You learned from me, or vice versa. And then the verse is actually like, don't be conformed to the world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind each and every day. Because if you just sit there and you're just watching Netflix and you're just doing that, and you know, that's just not going to take you anywhere.
It's just
like,
rotting your brain.
Exactly.
Unless it's narcos.
There's some stuff you learn, right?
or Lake Ozark.
Yeah.
Ozark, yeah.
Then it's helping in your evolution for sure.
Evolution.
Ozark I like. So
But renewing the mind, and you know, we have these brainstorming meetings all the time, and we listen to our coaches, and we try, and everything that touching based on something that we said earlier. You know, I learned, I have a coach, and he's like, I really look up to him. I was like, this guy knows a lot, but he always says, like, I don't know a lot, but whatever I learn, I put into practice. And then when I put into practice and I see that worked for me, now I teach it. When you teach something, when you learn something, and now you do it, and you teach it, you just conquer that thing.
From all the books that we read. That's
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm the same way.
Well,
you conquered it.
It's
you know?
so true, because you can tell people anything, and they're like, okay, well, I don't believe you. But you're like, no, I did it.
Yeah.
You want to see it? I have a video right here.
Yeah,
I did a podcast. Look,
Right.
I'll show you.
Yeah.
But when like you said, when you conquer it, it proves to yourself, but then it proves to the other person that it is possible.
Yeah.
A lot of the things that I've accomplished physically, that I tell Steve is easy, and he looks at me like I'm crazy. It's like, it's because I watched other people do it.
Yeah.
I saw it was possible by just a random stranger, just a nobody. They did it. Why can't I do it?
Oh, that's.
Yeah.
And I like Tony Robbins' definition of the good life. Like, what's the good life? He said that the end goal is to live life in your own terms. You may have different terms than I have.
Yeah.
You know, so you may want to retire, or you may want to have whatever, $10 million invested in real estate 10 years from now, where 5 or 2 may be enough for me and my needs. So I'm always reflecting on that, just so I don't allow myself to compare, to compare myself to some other people, because that quickly steals your joy, just comparing yourself to whoever, so it's always like, all right, this is my race, this is my lane, and I have to run it to the best of my ability with everything I got. I really like your input on this, because it'll be the same for us running that whatever 10-mile race, 15, 20-mile race. It starts with that first step, and sometimes mile 8, 9, 10 you're beat, or let's say if I'm running one of these Spartan races, I'm going up a long hill. And you hear this from people all the time, and people who are also going up the hill, because we start conversations just to get our minds off of, and then we're constantly talking to each other. Just put your head down. It's one step after another. And that's how we conquer our day. And then by conquer our day like that, by maximizing that one day, then we maximize that week, and then we maximize a life. So it's like it's the daily habits, right? It's the little things that we do every day that really count. It's the getting up at 5 o'clock or whatever, 4:30 to go work out, if that's the only time that we have. But with that, I like to bring up this subject because I want to hear what you guys have to say. Morning routines.
I think morning routines are incredibly important. To me, it's probably the most important thing you can do. I think when you set your alarm clock the next day, don't ever hit snooze.
I'm guilty.
I think we all are.
Have a plan for your next morning, right? It's the start of your day. It's your new day, the new dawn, right? And you should have consistency in what you're doing every morning, and have a vision. have a goal for the long term, but the only way you get there is from short-term goals. And I think when you set a morning routine up, you put yourself in a position that's, I think, incredibly important and will help you succeed in life. It certainly has gotten me to where I am. I'm not always on point every morning, but I've been pretty consistent my whole life, and I think it's led to some of the successes I've had. And I think the falters and my falls and my failures are probably come from not having the perfect morning routine. So I don't think that there's anything more important than how you start your day.
Right. In practical terms, what do you do?
I wake up consistently at the same time, right?
What time is that?
5 o'clock.
Saturdays, Sundays, holidays?
Saturdays and Sundays and holidays, I give myself a break. 80-20, right?
Right, 80-20 rule.
80-20. You can't be 100%. Don't set yourself up for failure. But I would say that at 80% of the time I'm waking up consistently at the same time. I'm exercising in the morning. I'm trying to do some kind of meditation or breathing exercise or calisthenics if I'm not exercising, but I'm trying to exercise at least 5 days a week. And when I don't do that, I don't feel good mentally, physically, in any way. I feel like I've lost my way. And then I try to do, like I said before, as crazy as that is, like little tasks that I know I have to do, like taking out the garbage. That's a big accomplishment for me, making my side of the bed neat, I also start my morning routine out, ironically, by having a nightly routine, right? Because that's the last thing before the day ends. So I have a routine where I pray with my children. I brush my teeth. I don't always do that. But I try to do that consistently and shower and then go to bed and have my final thoughts of the day. I try to stay off the screen for the last hour of the day. And that's kind of my routines that have helped me in life. When I stay consistent with them, I meet a lot of success.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm the same as Steve, like 80-20. We touched on this some episodes ago, and I literally try to apply it to everything in life because we're striving for, perfection. We want to be the best we can be. And as we get older, it's like even more important. Just life in general. Work, family, and yourself. So 80-20 is a good thing, I think. And I found that just because I've tried to be 90-10 or even 99-1, and it's like you're just going to kill yourself.
Quickly back to 50.
So referring to weekends and holidays and just days in general, you don't have to work, and maybe your kids went to bed late the night before and you can sleep in a little. I take advantage of that. Mm-hmm. But typically, the regular weekday, I have 2 alarms, 4:25 and 4:45. And the reason for that is my wife will go to an early morning class, and when she doesn't, I can get up earlier and get more done. And that may sound like counterproductive, but we have small children at home, so if she's away at the gym, then it limits me on what I can do. I have to stay in the house and do something instead of going out for a run or driving somewhere to go exercise. So I actually have 2 alarms. One is right here, and it vibrates, so it doesn't wake anyone up. Or I try to, I set it like that on purpose to see if it'll work, like if I'll pay attention to a small vibration as opposed to, like, a huge noise in my ear. So I set both. I set this one first, and it's actually, I'm challenging myself because this goes off, and then the other one 2 minutes later. If I snooze this one,
you're done.
Yeah.
That's the blaring annoyance in my mind saying that I already
From the alarm or
lost.
from your wife?
She's not saying a word at that time. She's already either out the door or sleeping. So I'm up, and my routine has changed ever so slightly over the years. Right now, I'm in a great routine where I don't get up and sit down, or I don't get up and check Facebook or Instagram or email. I go in the kitchen, first thing, water in the morning with lemon. If I have to prep a smoothie or something else for the day for work, I'll do that quick. Get some coffee brewing, and I have a Theragun percussion massager. So I treat the sore muscles for a few minutes. I'll turn on the news. I'll sip my coffee, and then it's downstairs. I have a gym in my basement. Awesome. So I'll do a few things there depending on how much time I have, or I'll literally just go outside and run. Like the other morning, I'm starting to bring my flashlight out now. And I know people that are driving to work early are looking at me
beat
like
the sun.
This idiot. But yeah, I have my favorite hashtag is beat the sun. So I am doing something. I'm doing something physically, whether it's like this morning was 7 minutes. I just moved a little bit, just stretching, push-ups, squats, pull-ups, but all in like this weird one motion. Like I didn't stop moving, and I included a little bit of resistance with stretching and mobility. And that's my own like thought of what yoga is. So every morning I'm doing that on a regular like work day. Yeah. And like I said, it all depends on what I have to do later in the day too. I'll do 2-3 workouts a day. So my workouts aren't an hour long.
Now, when we're talking about it, then what is going, I mean, so we want to get to the point where we do that in a mindless way, right? We want to be able to automatize, make it automatic. And what's going on through your minds at that time? Are you doing it annoyed that you have to do it? Because there were days where I was annoyed that I had to go to the gym. Or are you doing it with, right, this is what I do, this is me, this is who I am, and then like what else? And of course I'm asking to learn, right? What else is going through your minds? I'll use my own example. I believe a lot in life will either happen by design or by default. And I'm trying to be the guy that's doing things by design now. Like, even like foreseeing what my day could be like, and then trying to get to, we have clients, right? And then I've heard this said in a way that really stuck out. If you have to call a client, that's a 2-minute conversation. But if you wait too long and the client has to call you, that's a 20-minute conversation. So I'm already anticipating, getting to the office early enough where it's not business hours yet. But as soon as 8 o'clock hits, I'm calling everybody as soon as possible.
Proactive.
Exactly. But in these past few months and years, I'm trying to be that guy, for my own benefit, for the benefit of my family and the people that I work with, constantly trying to be ahead of, even like from like my 20, 30 minutes in the morning, prepping to go to the gym, and then on the way to the gym, trying to foresee what my day is going to look like and try to design it the best way possible, just so at the end I have some sense of accomplishment that it went the best way that I thought it could go. Not I get home, my wife asks how my day went, and I'm like, I'm all over the place today. It didn't go like at all.
Which is okay. That'll happen.
Yeah. But if it happens often enough, then it causes frustration, and then it causes
angst,
a sense of of lack of accomplishment, right? Because we have rough days, but getting through those rough days, feeling like you won the day as opposed to the day won you, like it's hard. So
my advice there would be, eye on the prize, right? We're all people that are always in search of answers, and I think we've probably all looked at success stories and see what works. Some of it we know to be true, and I think when we set out a goal or a plan and we follow it, I think that is going to create our proud moment. Like, all right, we're on the right path to our journey, to our goal. We know where we need to be. It's like if I'm going to run a marathon, right? I've never run a marathon, but if I was going to run a marathon,
you gotta get it started.
Right? I'd go to the internet and I'd get a running plan, right? And it'd be probably a 3-month plan where the day 1 is walk a mile, day 2 is rest, day 3 is walk 2 miles, and then there's a building block, and then there's probably some kind of taper, right? And we know this to be probably the best way to do it because it's tried and true. Many people have run marathons. Someone's running it in sub 2 hours, I think, which is mind-boggling, but. We know that there's certain ways to be successful in life. And then I think we need to, create a plan for ourselves, what we think will be the best plan for us and the easiest to follow, and be as realistic as we can. So if I set out to run a marathon and I want to wake up tomorrow and run 10 miles, like that's just a pipe dream. I can't do that. Like I got to start.
Yeah.
And
there's got to be some
walk a mile.
Self-awareness to what limitations you can push.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, it's like I'm not worried about what Alex can do. Like you and I, the three of you probably, definitely, the cameraman too, could go out right now and beat me in a mile. Like, so I'm not worried about what you guys can do. It's like if I want to succeed and do something, I worry about how I can get to where I want to go. So, and I think at the end of the day, we'll be happy with ourselves if we're mostly living up to our expectations and to our plan to get to where we want to go. That's my vision of it.
I think it's progress, right? I
Yeah.
mean, as long as there's progress, I mean, we're searching for perfection all the time, but as long as we can look back and see progress, then even if we haven't attained perfection, we're still
Right.
in a good place.
I agree with that. And probably at a pace that you want to,
Yeah.
right? You know, so.
And I think your environment also plays a big role. There's two ways, like I've heard two ways of people saying this, like you are the sum of the 5 people that you surround yourself with. And there's also, like this one was pretty interesting, that this guy said that like 85% of your results are related to the people that are attached, like kind of to the people that you relate yourself.
Show me
with.
your friends and I'll show you
Show
who
your
you
friend
are.
and
Yeah.
I'll show you exactly.
I agree with that.
So if you are like talking to people that are like-minded, that you know, if I'm hanging out with Nick or something like that, like we're gonna talk about working out, I'm gonna be pumped over it working out, just because like now I'm like, that's what I'm hearing. You're gonna hang out with losers, then you're gonna be a loser. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's and if you start looking to up to the people who are doing it, and you're like, okay, so like, you know, what's the path to that, to the like this person's success? What are they been? What have they been doing? I have a coach, a real estate coach, Brian Buffini is his name, and he's like, I listen to his podcast all the time. He's just a great guy, and he talks about that all the time. Like whenever, like, who was the I think the guy was like 50 or something that won a major.
Phil Mickelson. Golf.
Yeah, exactly. And in one of the pits that they thought that he would never win, and he was like, he's really into golfing as well, and he's like, I wanted to know what was he doing that he won that, like, and then comes to find out that he was really taking care of himself. He was 15 pounds lighter than the weight he was the first time when he won a major. That was like 15 years ago or whenever it was. I'm not 100% sure. And now he's doing like this fasting thing where he stops eating Sunday at 6 p.m. and he will eat Tuesday at 6 a.m. And that was helping him a lot. Well, again, renewing the mind, like see what, like, you know, like you don't have to reinvent the wheel
No.
to be successful. One thing, just see like what other people are doing, right? Yeah. Just see what's out there, and trust me when I tell you that your brain and your mind are something completely different, because your brain is attached to your body, and your body always wants to be on safety. All it wants is to survive.
Yeah, they're always at odds.
Is to survive.
Yeah,
It wants to be in a comfort zone.
Fight
That's
or
why
flee
like
or-
some of these guys are like, they go even like on like, I tried this for a while, taking cold showers, like really fighting the body, fighting, like, you know, like that little voice is like the one that's telling you not to wake up early, but then your mind is like, you know, who depends on you for you to be the best yourself today? You have children, you have a wife, you have something. Get your ass up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Get your ass up.
go
I
do
like
something. Exactly.
You want to live the Boa Life,
That's
you got to
your
get
mind.
your ass up. Get up
That's the new
out of
slogan.
bed.
That's the new slogan.
Yeah. I love it.
You gotta do
Put
it.
that on a bumper sticker.
Yeah.
Put it right on my car.
Because your body, like, if you're just gonna, like, I don't want to, like, and that's why earlier on I asked you if that was natural to you, because to some people it is, like, you know, have no problem on going to the gym every day. It's just not something that was natural to me. I'm struggling right now. We got on a challenge at the beginning of the year that we're gonna wake up at 5 a.m.
It's called 5 a.m. Beat the Sun.
5 a.m. beat
No
the
way.
sun. Yeah, we have a group of people.
What is that? That's it. That is crazy.
15
It's
people in there.
That came to mind when, and I'm sure you thought about it too. But
You were meant to be here today.
and we did it so good for like the first like 4 or 5 months, and then I fell off a little bit.
And then
Right.
June came around and the sun started coming up at like 4:30. You're like, I can't beat you.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, I have a 2-month-old, almost 3 months now, and now I started to wake up early, again at 5, not because I wanted to, it was just because to take that morning turn. You know, she was waking up every hour, every 2 hours, and then from 5 o'clock on, I would take that and be like, you know, at least let my wife.
I remember those days, the sleep deprived days.
Yeah. But I was doing that for her and not, you know, because I would go to the living room, and if she fell asleep again, I'll sleep on the couch. Instead of just like being up and go read my book, because, you know, I have my morning, you know, just to touch on that a little bit, my morning routine, like wake up early, and then I try to feed the soul first, you know, read something like spiritual, like I read my Bible and read like the book that I'm reading, and then I'll treat the body after that, you know, go to the gym. But just failing, like you said, like let's talk about like things that I wasn't doing any of it. You know, it's like a month ago, I was waking, like a couple of days I woke up at like 7:30, and you know, I was like, I should be ashamed of myself, but that's okay, because, you know, just get back on track, and you know, I've been doing better now. But as long as you get back on track, you know, because we're always gonna, you know, fall off at one point, but just think about getting back.
Yes.
Just think about getting back.
Just
you know what I mean?
Return.
Yeah, and you know, we're actually back now of you know, regular scheduling of sleeping. Now she's and I, you know, I've been waking up at 5 again for the last couple of nights. And then I was talking to my office like, oh, you know, thank God she's, you know, back to sleep. You know, she's sleeping all night now. Now that I can, you know, I can go back to the gym. She's like, well, she's been sleeping all night for a couple weeks. I was trying to, like, you know, sell myself on that it was just, you know, but it was good. You know, she calls me out on it, and you know, and we try to do it together as well. But yeah, you know, routines and all this, you know, everything that we talked about here today.
I think
it's just amazing.
One of the biggest things, and it actually brought Steve and I together. Like initially, he proposed the thought of a podcast, and immediately like, okay, if I do it, this is gonna happen. If I don't, this is gonna happen. And I'm like, well, if I don't, I'm gonna probably live with some kind of regret.
Yeah.
He's gonna kill it, become famous, and I'll be the idiot who said no.
And he'll talk about you.
Can you believe this guy?
I attach that mindset to everything. Like if I don't get up in the morning and stay in bed, I'm gonna regret it on my drive to work. I'll feel different. I'll regret it when I step into work and make contact with a coworker or a patient. I'll regret it, you know, in the middle of the day when I'm dragging. I'll regret it going forward, maybe for the rest of my life. You never know, depending on how big that decision is. Yeah. But if you can realize that regret is real and then draw something good out of it and use it as a tool, that's been a driving factor for me. That's how I get up every morning, and it's natural now.
Yeah, and what they say, the pain of discipline is far easier than the pain of regret.
Exactly. Yeah. It's so true.
You got to find whatever motivation you can. And I mean, the most important thing here is relationships, right? I'm in a gym. I had a setback where I wasn't going for a little while. They created a wanted poster. I think it came at the same time as
somehow I got
hold of a Mickey Mouse shirt. Well, they had to pick that photo out. We're launching, and all of a sudden, the Boa Life, and then there's this, you know, there's this picture from my gym people about, you know,
this is what he's doing.
Wanted. Where is he? We want to see him in the gym. And it's like the whole thing that works for me, the group thing, because there's that accountability, there's that relationship. You have that in churches, you have that in gyms, this vulnerability, this community sense. It's like we need each other. You know, we're having these conversations. They're important. People need it. We need it. Look, we're here because you've provided this opportunity for us. Him and I are a team, and we came together for whatever purpose we came together for. Here we are now. And it's just amazing how things tend to work out, and how at the end of the day, we need each other. And if we want to have successes and build on those successes, we can't do them alone. Obviously, I work with you guys on a professional level. It's like, man, you have to manage personalities. We talked about managing or hedging expectations and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, when things go wrong, you want to be with people that you can trust. And same thing in growing in life, falling. You want someone to help you up. And that's why I think it's important to be around people that are like mine, headed in the same direction. Like you said earlier, we don't necessarily, that good life is not necessarily the same thing for me as it is for you. But, you know, it's in the ballpark. We're all headed to try to be our better selves, do better for the people around us, and do the best we can in whatever avenue in life we choose to go. So I could be here all day talking to you. I know our wives probably want to see us home before they go to bed. I really appreciate your time. We really appreciate the opportunity that, you know, we've been provided here, which you're obviously a huge part of. And I do hope to have further conversations with you. And I have no doubt that, you know, we'll be doing this for a long time. So I look forward to the next one and the next topics that may arise. Thank you guys very much for helping us figure out the Boa Life and for giving us your time.
Hey guys, really appreciate it. I'm pretty enlightened now. I don't even know if I can go to bed.
We're at 4:25 tomorrow.
That's right.
What I do propose is that at some point we all go out and buy the new GoPros, and then you and I, we're going to go do a Ragnar or something with that. I don't know what they're called, but we're going to go do one of them.
Yeah, definitely.
Hopefully I don't die doing it.
Yeah. No, and we're happy that you can use the space that we have, and that you're doing something with it, you know, which is the most important thing. And just, you know, think about the royalty when you guys are, you know, getting 20 million views a month and all of that. I'm kidding. We're inspired by it because there's already been, you know, with so many episodes recorded, there's already been consistency, which is beautiful. You know, it's sometimes, you know, we also have our podcast, and we have a lot of, you know, we use this room a lot for business, for real estate, and we record a lot of videos. And sometimes, you know, the consistency is not all there. And then we think about what you got. You know, you guys are still coming here on a weekly basis and doing your recordings, and we like that. It keeps us, the group effect is that keeps each other inspired, you know, so we really appreciate that. And of course, I'll speak on my behalf, and Daniel will touch on this as well. Thank you for having us. You know, it's a privilege, and we understand this to be a privilege now. And we're going to look back when you guys blow up, and then we're going to see, we're going to recognize that it was a privilege at that time. Definitely pumped up for where you guys are headed. Definitely pumped up for the content of what you guys are creating. Definitely excited to see all the guests that you're going to bring around. Of course, we get to benefit from those guests as well, because as you're here recording, after the recording is done, you know, those guests will be here and we can chat with them as well. I appreciate what you guys are doing for yourselves and for your families, but more importantly for the community. At the end of the day, I don't think we live our lives for ourselves. We cannot be that selfish. We live our lives for some other people. We live so we can give of the gift that was given to us, right? So I think you guys are doing just that. You're giving out your gift. You know, you do it for work every day, and you get compensated for that and all of that, but here you're doing it for free. You're passing on that gift to some other people, so we really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I just want to thank you myself for the opportunity of being here. And this was great, man. This was awesome. And like you said, like, we are all different people, but our circumstances tend to be the same. A lot of people are going to relate to what we said here today. It'll be our pleasure, my pleasure, to be here again if the opportunity is given.
Well, it definitely will.
Definitely going to happen. Thanks, guys.
All right, guys.
Bye, everybody.